Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Canada's Sportsbook.
S-D-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
You woke up this morning to a brand new captain, the 31st in team history of the Montreal Canadiens.
A lifelong Leaf fan is now the captain
You
of
had
the
to do
Montreal
that.
Canadiens. He is. Less than a decade ago, he was cheering for the Leafs against the Bruins. In 2013, go Leafs, go. And then they lost. And that's when he was like, you know what? I'm going to captain the Habs instead.
I love so there's the headline, and then I guess it's not the byline, but what's the sub-headline called?
The lead?
I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
Basically, it says 23-year-old center replaces Weber after defenseman was traded to Golden Knights. And I forgot that Weber's contract had been dealt to the Golden Knights.
Oh, my God. How are those teams... What is it with the Habs and like being so intertwined with expansion teams?
That's a good point.
Because there's Vegas, and then there will forever be Mark Bergevin shenanigans with the Kraken.
Yes.
Which... How did he get away with that? How did he get away with it?
You know, Nick Suzuki deleted the tweet where he says, go Leafs go.
No. Way.
No, good. He should have.
Stand by your words, coward.
There's, who is it? SB Nation, Pension Plan Puppets, they did an article way back when on Leafs fan Nick Suzuki. And then they had embedded his tweet from 2013, October, when he was cheering for the Leafs. And he said, Toronto versus Montreal, go Leafs, go, # Leafs Nation. And when you click the tweet, the tweet does not exist anymore.
You know,
so somebody in his camp, because he's on the Canadiens now, and people would have made fun of this, they made him delete it.
but people are like, you Leaf fan. Like, he was like 14, I think.
Yeah! 2013?
like that's a child. You're laughing at a child. Like,
For liking his favorite team. Come on.
I think it's okay, guys.
Oh,
I think it's
So
okay.
there's a tweet out there. The Golden Knights have existed for 5 years, and in that time, they've had 3 Montreal Canadiens captains.
So I was trying to play this game.
So Weber, Pacioretty, and...
Weber. I had Pacioretty, Suzuki.
Oh, well, yeah, idiot.
And
I was like,
Weber.
who's the third?
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot about Weber.
And now, I do want to ask this, okay? And I think this is a fair question. Montreal Canadiens fans love this guy. The organization loves this guy. His new contract, I believe, kicks in this year. It was signed last year, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think you're right.
He's got a big extension coming, and I want. He's 23 years old. Now, I understand that this man is mature.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that he's a very good hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have, in some hockey circles, some say he's going to be an elite caliber center.
Mm-hmm.
Some others say he'll be a pretty good 1A option. But, another pretty good 1A option who captained the Habs for years, and they were very, very good, is Saku Koivu. And you could call him a quote-unquote 1A option. I know Canadiens fans would hate that, but he wasn't like...
It's not
fair to him.
That's not bad, Adam.
Yeah, right?
No, it's not bad.
So the one thing I do want to say is we know from being in Toronto how vicious media can be. Montreal Canadiens media, because so much of it's in French, gets missed by us.
Yes.
We do not, and I want to really drive this point home. There is no comparable to some of the things that happen in Montreal Canadiens media. Steve, can you give us some examples of what it's like to be a Canadian player, a Canadiens player on the Francophone side?
I mean, it's very tabloidy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want the perspective of a French player?
Yeah,
or,
no,
or
if you're just
what?
a player, but the French language media treats it differently.
It's very tabloidy, very gossipy, a lot of personal life stuff. There was that blog a few years ago that was taking pictures of people in their hotel room.
That's 25 Stanley, right?
I think so, and it was Stamkos, and they were, they were fully clothed and looking at the camera and everything, and it's still weird. They'll talk about your potential drug problems. They'll talk about rather unsubstantiated rumors they've heard about you and your personal life and significant other. And
they also don't mind having guests on that have questionable responses to things like mental health issues.
Yeah, like we like what are some of the notorious stories around the Leafs over the past few years? There's the hot dog stand thing. There's calling Reimer's mother to ask about his injury.
Yeah.
There's Matthew's COVID diagnosis before the bubble, and stuff like that. I just feel like that's maybe a once a month or once every 2 month story,
right?
In on Montreal French shows,
right? They're just a little bit. It's just a little bit different. And so I have to ask the question,
and that's not to say they're all like evil.
No,
or whatever.
oh my God! But it's just there is that element that doesn't maybe exist the same way.
Yeah, and we miss it.
We do
miss it because I only took French to grade 10 and I did poorly.
And I want to say this: this is a player that had 61 points last year, performed very well under a bad coach and then a good coach
in a off season or like in a down season.
He's in 3 years he's a career minus 49.
Fart.
Never scored 50 goals. Hasn't scored 50 goals in his career yet.
Yeah.
Has 143 total points. Pretty good for 3 years.
Sure is, especially at his age.
Can we ask the question, is this the right time for a 23-year-old? And is Brendan Gallagher, like, I was surprised that it was not Brendan Gallagher.
Well, so to me, the first question I asked was, why not Brendan Gallagher? And I thought about it long enough and I got my answer. So what are we excited about with the Montreal Canadiens? We talked about this last show.
The future.
So we're excited about, they got some guys in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about Nick Suzuki. Mm-hmm. We're excited about Cole Caulfield. We're excited about Kirby Dach. We're excited about Juraj Slafkovsky.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about the other Slovak guy they drafted in the first round. I can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
Who Slafkovsky was.
Yeah.
And by the way, who captured that video? Game Over's Mark Dumont.
No way.
Yes, he did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, he did. That video of Juraj Slafkovsky figuring out that his Slovakian teammate was drafted to the Montreal Canadiens. That was Mark Dumont. We're excited about the future. With all due respect to Brendan Gallagher, he's not the future. He can be a part of it.
He's got a gigantic extension.
You forgot to mention Jan Mysak.
Jan Mysak.
Why should we mention him?
Because he's a noted Alan Walsh client.
Thank you.
And I am a huge fan of doing the bits, but also like he's really good.
We got to get t-shirts. We got to get t-shirts for that. I am a noted Alan Walsh
and then
client.
we have to get them to the client.
Yes. Yeah. But also like you could have one in the store and be like, and you too could be a noted Alan Walsh client.
Can I have a dozen of
Absolutely.
those?
Absolutely.
That's such a good idea. Such a good idea.
It'll be on sale by Friday.
There you go.
Need it. I need it more than I need to breathe. So that's amazing. Amazing. And wasn't he at our event? Jan Mysak?
Yes, he was.
Yes, that's
He was at our event in Montreal. They casually just showed up. It was amazing.
Yeah. Hey, man. Anyway, Brendan Gallagher will be a part of that future. But
a big part of it. He's still got 5 years left.
Yep. Yep. But like, how many old guys are on that team still? Like, how many of the old guard?
Almost none.
Weber's gone. Pacioretty's gone. Subban's gone. Gallagher is still there. Petrie's gone.
If Carey Price doesn't come back, which it doesn't mean it look like he will.
That's gone. A tough one. Like, how often is he going to be around the team? I don't know. And
Carl Alsner's contract still kicking around for a couple more years.
Oh my God. But I think what you potentially risk sometimes, and I can't believe I'm saying this about Brendan Gallagher, who is younger than me, I believe. There's an element.
He's 4 years younger than you. He's Jesse's age.
There's disgusting. There's the potential for, like, let's say the Habs are shit in the bed and Brendan Gallagher gets up. There's the potential for old man yells at cloud.
Yep.
To a locker room full of, Suzuki's not even really in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
Like early 20 guys. He is the leader of the future.
Yeah.
The amount of games played he already has and his performances in the Stanley Cup playoffs dating all the way back to the bubble. He's the leader of the future. It's the right pick. And it sucks for Brendan Gallagher because he seemed like the heir apparent for Shea Weber, but the fortunes of the Montreal Canadiens took a real aggressive turn last year. And There was a quote from Nick Suzuki and a quote from Joel Edmondson that got dunked on this morning, where they're talking about competing for the playoffs.
I think they'll compete for the playoffs.
All 32 teams should be saying that.
Yes.
It's September.
First of all, they should all be saying that. Second of all, you can forgive the Montreal Canadiens, who made the Stanley Cup final 2 years ago, for thinking that last year was a blip. There's a lot of reasons to think they should at least be in the mix.
I think
yes,
they will.
The Atlantic's ridiculous. But
Also, what do you want them to say? Oh, no, we're not going to try and compete for the playoffs.
everything that could have gone
New captain
wrong
won't happen.
went wrong. Everything that could have went wrong.
Yeah.
And then Martin St. Louis came in and they were better.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and
half the team's not going to be on COVID protocol.
And what was important too when St. Louis came on is the players who play or who have high skill started playing like it.
Yes, and also
like the turnaround in Cole Caulfield was unbelievable.
It ticked off so many rebuild boxes. Like, okay, we're still losing games, but Cole Caulfield had 2 goals.
Bingo. Yes.
So I really like that.
Guy who should score is scoring.
They're going to score this year.
They
I
are.
think.
Yeah. Their defense is it's interesting. You've got Michael Matheson. I forgot he was there. Then Joel Edmondson, David Savard.
Edmondson's a guy who they didn't have last year, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it looks steady enough, and I think they're working on an extension for Jake Allen. Hasn't been signed yet. Yeah,
and they have Caden Primo on one of those trendy goalie contracts. That's
they also have
low money long term.
They have Montembeault as well.
Sam Montembeault, who was actually fine for them after dealing with his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, they're not going to finish last.
Right.
I'll give you that.
Do you think? I haven't heard anything. Is Sean Monahan going to be ready this year?
Yeah, I believe so.
So I mean, listen, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, right? This is a team that also got Dodonov. They have Mike Hoffman, who was like a slam dunk for 25 goals until last year.
And what do they got up the middle? Suzuki, Monahan,
Christian Dvorak,
and
Kirby Doc. Jake Evans can play center.
Oh yeah, Jake Evans. That's decent enough.
I think so. And they're all young.
That's decent.
It's a different team.
My first instinct was to go make the playoffs, and then I looked at them and I went, "Wait a sec, they're okay."
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, obviously, Canadiens fans are elated. Do you think Nick Suzuki's up to the pressure here?
Absolutely. There's certain guys you can tell are built for it. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't seem fazed by anything. He's one of those exceptional young. Not talents, personalities. One of those exceptional young personalities who's probably older than his age, thinking Alex Pietrangelo sort of thing. I think he'll be fine. He'll be just fine. It is Montreal.
It's a difficult place.
That'll be interesting. And I was thinking about, he's not Francophone, and sometimes that doesn't go over so well. Who was the last Francophone captain of the Montreal Canadiens?
Vinny Damphousse, I think.
Yeah, it's been quite some time.
I think that's such a specific criteria for your team if you're going to run it that way. Yeah. It'd be so difficult to, they also have to just happen to be on your lineup and fit into the team and be very good and also be the leader in the locker room. And then they have to be Francophone. It's
almost like choosing a coach. It's always Francophone.
Well,
it's near impossible to do with your captain if you want to do that throughout your history.
Agreed.
You're really limiting yourself.
Yeah, you're shoehorning that in there.
I think it's, there are arguments too. It's important to have French-speaking people on your team.
Absolutely.
And they do. I think most teams do.
No, I think Nick Suzuki is going to do the work.
Yeah.
Be a great captain.
And if you win a cup, I think they adopt you as a Quebecer anyway. I don't think it matters. I think Montrealers just want, and I think Montreal Canadiens fans want a cup. That's it.
I bet he's going to make attempts to learn French as well.
Absolutely. I'm sure he has.
He's still pretty young. He's got lots of time. Subban was able to learn some, enough to, remember he did an interview?
Yeah.
And he did okay.
He did okay.
I'm sure they spoon-fed him a little bit. Okay, we're going to ask you this and this and this. I can't speak anything fluent. I could barely speak English fluently. You know how seldomly Siri understands me perfectly? Because I talk like a hoser.
I find Siri even worse if you're trying to talk through AirPods. If you're trying to voice to text somebody through AirPods, it's almost impossible.
It's impossible.
Or maybe we just speak poorly.
Suzuki's going to be fine. He's got a strange stoicism about him, and I think about captains that got the job relatively young who sort of match that. I already said Petro. Gabriel Landeskog sort of fits that.
Yzerman.
Yzerman, Taves back in the day. He'll be fine.
With the Gallagher thing, like it's unfortunate how like he's drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. He's been there his entire life, his entire career. Yeah. Eventually, you thought, okay, Gallagher's gonna get his shot as captain of the Montreal Canadiens, and the timing just never worked out. If you go through it, like you'd say like that he should be captain, but the moment was never there. The season was never there. The captain who was there never left, and he was in that perfect position to take it. So it's unfortunate, but it's just happened to be the circumstance where he just got unlucky with that happening.
Also, I mean, last season that did not go well for the Montreal Canadiens. He had some moments that were kind of uncaptain-like, really losing his composure, losing his temper. He really does not appear to get along with NHL officials, and that's a problem.
That's a tricky one
if you're going to be the captain. If he embraces it, can be a huge part of Montreal's leadership core and usher them into the future, maybe even win a cup with them.
Yeah, he said all the right things today. He called Nick Suzuki the heartbeat of the team.
Oh,
I was like, that's a perfect description. Like, way to do the wrestling thing where you lose to the up and comer. So, you what is it called when you
passing the torch?
No, there's a wrestling term for it.
He put him over.
He put him over. Thank you. Yeah, so he put Nick Suzuki over for everybody who was like looking to Brendan Gallagher, be like, you should have been captain. He's like, no, this kid is the heartbeat of the team. So I loved what he said today.
He grabbed him by the wrist and held his hand up.
Yeah, like Aaron Young.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, he put him over.
It was like in WrestleMania, I think it was 20 here in Toronto when Rock and Hogan fought, and then Rock won, and they shook hands after.
Exactly.
They put him over.
Exactly.
Okay. Evan Rodrigues signed this morning with the Avalanche a 1-year, $2 million contract for a guy that had 43 points in a full 82-game season last year. Sort of surprising it took this long.
And I was texting with producer Drew because of course I was, because he goes, suck it, Toronto, because the Leafs were rumored to be in on him and the Avalanche got him.
And they did have him and just never tendered him.
If people forget, Leaf legend.
That's the one that got away for Dubas for sure, or one of them ones.
That's how they couldn't afford him. But anyway, good for him for getting $2 million in September.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult, right?
Yes,
it's difficult, and the totality of his season, you look at 43 points and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. But what it was a blistering hot month or month and a half, followed by death, like nothing, followed by, there's Evan Rodrigues. So
I can remember the one memory I have last season was the Leafs were about, 5-6 games in, and they just weren't playing very well. And you yelled the 7-1 loss, and they lost 7-1 to first-line center Evan Rodrigues. Sidney Crosby, I don't think, was playing. Malkin wasn't playing. It was bad.
It was honestly...
that might have been their worst loss of the season, and I think it was better from there.
Oh, yeah. No, and that was in the middle of a bad start, and I blew a gasket because that bad start was basically, it felt like a continuation of the Montreal series.
Right.
Before they
a little bit of carryover sadness.
Yeah, they went on this unbelievable run. That's one of my most watched videos because people just, it's when the Leafs get their ass kicked. It's appointment viewing, apparently. My sorrow and sadness.
Certainly it is.
And anxiety and all the other things that I should probably say to a therapist instead of a camera. But he was really, really good. And then it's weird, when he got pushed down the lineup, it wasn't quite there anymore. And with Colorado, it's going to be fascinating because up the middle, they got Nathan McKinnon. There's your free space.
Yep.
And then you got, or is it Landeskog? Doesn't matter. You know what the top line is, and it ain't going to be Rodrigues. Then you got Comfer, who I thought filled in really well for Nazem Kadri.
He was good.
You got Evan Rodrigues, and you got a kid who needs to take a step, and I think will take a step, in Alex Newhook.
Right.
So those are some really solid options.
Don't forget Darren Helm.
Oh, and Darren? Well, he was on the wing.
Playing on the wing.
He's playing on the wing.
That is series-winning goal scorer, Darren Helm.
He's still there. He's still kicking around.
That guy has 2 cups. He has cups with both halves of the blood feud of the Wings and Avs rivalry.
There you go.
Does he have the longest in between cup victories?
No. what was it? 2008 and 2022.
Yeah, that's
a long time.
like I'd love to see the
gotta be
stat
up
book
there.
on
Chat
that.
Sportsnet stats. See if they know.
I will.
Just off the top of my head, that's got to be in the top 5.
It's
Yeah.
14 years. Well, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Good question, Jesse.
That's a very good.
I was shocked when this deal was signed that the Avs had $2 million.
Yeah.
I was like, where did that cap space come from?
There's still so much that needs to happen, and I'm just preparing to work-wise get my ass kicked.
What do you mean?
Over the next 2 weeks.
Oh, just trying to catch up.
Trying to. So this week actually, 2
Mm-hmm.
days from now, going to Vegas for the NHL Player Media Tour.
Right.
So we'll do that, and then I'll come home, and then shortly after there's Leafs Media Day,
Yep.
and this is right around the time teams get work done
Wait, why are you going to Vegas for the media tour?
to talk to players.
But the media tour is not in Vegas.
Henderson, it's in Henderson, Nevada.
Sorry, explain this. So the NHL, which now has an affiliation with Vegas, which they like to take advantage of by having the All-Star game in Vegas, are doing their media tour where?
Well, so I don't know all the ins and outs. All I know is I'm going to Henderson. There may
What's
be
Henderson?
Henderson. It's a suburb of Vegas. Apparently, all the rich people live there. And my father-in-law was telling me.
It's the most NHL thing to do to not have it.
We're gonna
off of
We're
the
gonna
strip.
do the NHL. We're gonna do it in Scarborough, guys. We're gonna do it in Scarborough.
They might be doing
We're gonna do
other
it-
stuff. They
Sorry.
might be doing other stuff in Vegas.
NHL
It's just
tour
I'm
this
not.
year in Yonkers. We're doing it in Yonkers, guys.
Here's what's more likely happening.
It's just
They're doing stuff in Vegas, and my bum ass is going to Henderson to do bum ass stuff.
Yeah, but the
in
players
Henderson.
are going to
yeah.
be
There's
there.
gonna be some players doing bum ass stuff. How do you think they feel about
you're
that?
gonna talk to McKinnon, and he's going to be in Henderson and not off
I
of
don't
the
know if I'm
strip.
talking to McKinnon.
Well, by the way,
whoever.
By the way, I do think you'll have to now start every interview with. So, how do you feel about this bum ass location? You said it.
So
No offense to anyone from Henderson, by the way. We're not.
I'm going to start with this. So Henderson.
What do you know? What do you know about it?
What do you know? Give me your.
I'll tell you what my
best Paul
father-in-law's uncle
Henderson
told me.
fact. What?
No, it's
Oh
just
yeah. Supposedly the granddaughter of the person who invented the paperclip lives here.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's such a father-in-law thing to know,
Oh my god.
and also potentially be wrong about.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, who's looking that up though?
not me.
a great thing. There's a
not
bunch
me
of-
in the 24 hours since.
Bunch of facts that you get when you get older. It's like, I'm not gonna look it up. I'm assuming it's right. Just leave it.
That's enough. No, what you need to do is get a YouTube channel, and then everything you say that's wrong, people shout at you.
Yeah,
No, my first thought when you told me it was in Henderson, I was like, Vegas, like the strip area is the conference center of the world. Like
Yeah.
they have the most facilities for people hosting
And
conferences.
I think that's where we're staying.
It would make sense to do something like a player interview there in one of the many hotels where they have many dozens and hundreds of conference rooms. Thank you, NHL.
Maybe there's other stuff.
job.
Listen, I'm not going to criticize the NHL. I don't know the ins and outs. I show
It's
up.
just funny.
I show up. I ask some dumb questions, and I leave.
You're going to
can't-
have a good time.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to see
Yeah.
Steve at the VLTs in Henderson. Just
The what?
the video lottery terminals, you know, like at the bar. You just click the button.
Oh, I can't wait to leave at midnight to arrive back home at 7 in the morning so I can come to your housewarming party
That's right.
18 months after you've moved in.
That's right. Listen, we wanted to bring everybody together, and I had a party, and I booked it 6 months in advance. And then several people were like, "Why are you booking me 6 months in advance?" And I'm like, "Because I want to be respectful of your time." And then several of the people, and I'm not going to name any names except for Jackson TJ, who I work with at Virgin Radio, are not going to be there because they forgot. And I said, "Guys, this is why I booked it early, and now they're not going to be there."
I didn't forget.
I know you didn't forget.
I
And I
know.
appreciate
Couldn't-
it.
So you were talking about your week, how it's going to be busy leading up to training camp. So this week you're going to Vegas,
Yeah.
Nevada.
You're going to bum ass Nevada.
You're going to Nevada for a media tour, and then next week is Leafs Media Day.
Leafs Media
and then
Day.
training camp opens the fall 2
I think
weeks
it
after
starts.
that.
Well, the rookie tournament starts this week, I think.
Is rookie tournament this week?
It's coming
Is that-
really
They're
fast.
having that on the East Coast, right? They usually do it in
I have no
Halifax
idea.
each year. I don't have all.
I haven't even seen
and
anything
I'm
on it.
moving.
Yeah.
I should probably throw that in
and then
there.
you're moving.
Frig.
I
Yeah.
did tell you to move next summer. Did I not say that?
I told me to move next summer. My wife thought otherwise. And then
And there was like, we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna look at houses. I'm like,
nice
okay,
and
they're
cozy
moving.
under the bus there, honey. It's warm. So anyway,
You have a busy month.
a little bit. There's the scheduled stuff. That's what I'm saying, though. That's the scheduled stuff. But we're all expecting, like, some things need to happen. Either Sandin signs, which is a story, or he doesn't, which is also a story. Or Kerfoot is traded, which is a story, or he's not traded, which is also a story. And Justin Hall and et cetera, et cetera.
It's interesting you bring that up because the Leafs have got Zach Aston-Reese on a PTO. He thought he had a deal with another team, and it fell through. So he had the opportunity to choose between Edmonton and Toronto. He chose Toronto, and I thought that was interesting because I thought Toronto might be a harder road given the glut of forwards they had. But Jonas Siegel wrote an article and obviously talked a little bit about what Aston-Reese is. And obviously he's a physical forward, good defensive forward, not going to be a guy that you're relying on to score any goals, but a comp unit with him and not Engvall, Nicholas Aubé-Kubel on like a fourth line or something like that could be a nice little shutdown line because the Leafs for years have struggled with what is the fourth line.
They should have a pretty versatile bottom six.
And you know, it also opens the door if the Leafs do make a trade, i.e. Kerfoot or something like that, where he can jump in. So there's probably a lot ready to go there. I did want to ask you about Zach Aston-Reese because obviously in this particular case, I don't think the Leafs are like, Zach Aston-Reese, he's on a PTO because we don't think he's an NHLer, or we're not sure. He's clearly an NHLer.
He is clearly an NHLer, and it's weird to me. It's weird to me that he's on a PTO at all. Like he couldn't find a job.
Maybe he could. He just he didn't want the ones that he was offered.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, people forget that. Like, oh, I can't find a job. No, he can't find a situation that he likes, and he appears to have one in Toronto, and he could be with Nicolas Aubé-Kubel, and they can be the triples line. Triples is best. They could potentially be just a whole bunch of names line.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys who he's never put up points ever. Ever. He's a career high of like what, 16, something like that. But he has, I think, a couple hundred NHL games under his belt. He's the sort of player that like hockey broadcasts have fawned over our entire lives. This is a heart and soul, hard working, digging the corners and forechecking, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how he wasn't able to find a job. I guess but he really believes in what Edmonton and Toronto are doing.
Well, the hole in the lineup is penalty killing. Mikheyev and Kasha are gone.
And if Kerfoot goes, there's another part of the penalty kill.
Right.
Mikheyev, Kasha, I want to say was more secondary, but Mikheyev that was a key part of the penalty kill.
Why do you have Clifford going?
Where do I have Clifford going?
Yeah.
The minors?
Okay.
He's not
maybe extra forward.
I think he and Wayne Simmons are not maybe everyday NHLers anymore, but you don't mind them being in the lineup.
I don't mind
from
them
time to time.
Ideally,
I just don't like Kyle Clifford throwing a hit that gets you suspended in game 1, but doesn't get you suspended in game 6. I just, if only he picked the right game to throw that hit in.
You're right. Oh boy. If the Leafs are able to carry 3 spares, which right now they can't, I think Clifford, Simmons, extra D makes sense. There's, I guess the point I was getting at the beginning is there's still a decent amount of work to do here.
Yeah. Do you have Joey Anderson or Nick Robertson in that group?
Like if we need someone for Tavares' wing, I think I would much rather Nick Robertson.
It was very high in the lineup.
Robertson, I could see though, couldn't you?
No.
It's very high in the lineup for Joey Anderson.
58 career games. Joey Anderson.
I would rather Kubel in that position.
Yeah. There's Dennis Malgin, who the Leafs never announced, I'm pretty sure. So that's an interesting one. There's Adam Gaudette, who is destined to be a Leaf legend by getting waived and claimed and never playing a game for them. I think that's going to happen.
He's going to get Taylor Becht? Or not traded?
No, he got traded.
Gaudette's not going to play this year for the Leafs?
No, he's going to get signed because people love to claim off the Leafs.
Yeah,
they're the most claimed team.
People are dicks. Oh, let's do the meme. Hey, did you buy a house? Cool, we're going to fuck up your life. LOL, memes. Yeah, there's a lot of work left to do. A lot of work left to do, and Aston-Reese, I think, has a handshake agreement in place.
For the Leafs?
Yes.
I think so too. So a lot of people we got an email actually from somebody who said, "Hey, why don't the Leafs just do this?" And we get a lot of why don't the Leafs just. But I wanted to. I thought it was worth pointing out because I think people, when Leaf fans are done with a player, they're done. It's like, how do we get him out at the door? But you have to understand that even overpaid players still have some value. And I'm not talking specifically about Kerfoot. I think his salary is about on par with what he should be making.
I don't think he's overpaid.
But at Justin Hall, people are like Kerfoot and Hall. They're done with Kerfoot and Hall.
Really
and the thing was,
overpaid.
why don't we just dump them and bring back some bad contracts so we can use our LTIR? That was the comment. So why don't you just?
It's already been established that using LTIR sucks.
No one wants to do it.
It's super not fun. It involves way too much finagling, and people are forgetting that it also involves you having a player who can't play. You know, you can't just artificially. We joke about Vegas and how they artificially threw players on. Like Mark Stone had surgery. Was the surgery scheduled strategically? Yeah, there's accusations and whispers of that, and the Robin Lehner shenanigans and everything. But it's actually better to have actual cap space than have to finagle LTIR.
That's also just not how it works.
No.
It was a necessary evil for the Leafs when they were better than they ever expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh yeah, we're going to use LTIR, take on all these shitty contracts. And then all of a sudden they were good and they're like, okay, I guess we'll do this for several years.
Right. LTIR only works when you're at the limit of the cap, plus you have the maximum LTIR space used, and then you get to go over it just so you can feel the team, you know? And then, but some teams like Vegas have manipulated it to where you can just have better players and then also have your injuries.
They played shorthanded several times.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to do because you always have to be at the upper limit for it to kick in. So it's not a way to build a team. It's not a strategic tactic in building a team.
And not a long-term strategy. It's just, well, and the only reason that Vegas has the know-how is because of guys like Tom Parashka who can manage the cap, but it's not. It's not something that you want to do. Soundbar guy, just knocked the whole table.
Subwoofer.
Guy.
For them, it also wasn't a strategic tactic. It was circumstance for Vegas as well. They had the injuries. Nobody's trying to build their team through LTIR. That doesn't make sense.
No, there are instances where, like, if a guy gets hurt, okay, this buys us a little bit of time, but, you know, they also have to be injured for a certain amount of time. It's just, it's not it's a flimsy way to plan. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
And then Tampa says, hello. Hello, I have my Stanley Cup.
So it's maybe a little easier when you have guys who are like their career's done. Like, so Vegas has Shea Weber, his career's done. Tampa has Brent Seabrook, his career's done. But
because then the money's there, it's stable.
Yes.
Yeah. Or when you have a superstar who's out for a full year and then you bring him back for the playoffs.
Or that.
You know, what's that little thing? Hey, speaking of superstars, let's talk about how many players are going to get 50 goals in the NHL this season.
69 of them.
Really? Because there was only a few last year. 69?
It's going up.
We're going to get into it now with You Can Bet That and Dave Bastel. Remember, 19 plus, please play responsibly. SportsInteraction.com/SDPN. His name is Dave Bastel. Dave, how was the summer break?
Summer's been good, gentlemen. Everything's been good. Blue Jays are piping hot coming into September. CFL's looking good. NHL camps are breaking soon. So I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are as well.
I'm a little disappointed here because I was expecting a perfect Blue Bomber season, but it seems like they're only going to be 12-1. I mean, come on.
I know.
Winnipeg must be so disappointed.
You know what? A little bit of a blip. You're right. I'm kind of surprised too. I thought we were going to go perfect as well. Keyword being weird. But you know what? That's the way it is. Get the loss out of the way, right?
One of the things that you can do right now at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN is look forward to the NHL season, right? Because you said, camps are breaking soon here.
Yep.
One of the things that I think you brought up that's a really interesting question and made Steve pause is, will there be 5 50-goal scorers this season in the NHL?
Exactly. So you got to do your calculations. You sit there and you go, okay, we got Number 34 is 1. Who's the next one? I don't know about you guys, but I exclusive to you guys, I'm going to give you the answer. 4. There's going to be 4 50-goal scores. What about you guys?
Okay. So here's who got him last year. Matthews, Draisaitl, Kreider, Ovechkin. And Ovechkin just got it.
Oh, he did get it.
He did get 50 goals.
He did.
The guys that missed out were Kaprizov, who missed out by 3 at 47. Kyle Connor from Winnipeg. I don't know if Dave's heard of him. And then Connor McDavid had 44. So he missed out by a little bit more. So
correct.
All of those guys are capable, although I'm betting on Kreider not doing 50 goals again this year.
Me too.
He's
off
at
my
such
list.
a ridiculous pace.
Yeah, like I think it's a little unfair.
Yeah. And Ovechkin is off my list too. I don't think he does 50 this year.
Oh,
yeah.
Draisaitl was unbelievable in the playoffs, but he had to rely on playmaking.
Because
he, and like who knows how recovered from that he'll be. There are so few players in the league who are capable of scoring 50 goals, and then there's the matter of injury luck. And there's a lot of that. I would not take 5 50-goal scores, and I hope I'm wrong because more goal scoring.
Okay,
it's a lot more fun.
Okay, who's your before we wrap it up? Who is your 4 50-goal scores or your 3?
Matthews is sort of the free square. Taking Draisaitl off feels so stupid. Taking Kreider off makes sense. Betting against Ovechkin is a death sentence, so I'm going to take Ovechkin.
So you got 2 so far.
So there's 2. I actually like Kyle Connor.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Of course you do.
I like Kyle Connor.
How could you not?
And somebody's got to score for Winnipeg.
And like, even if McDavid finally gets in there, I'm looking at the list. Like, there's guys I just don't expect to. Oh my God!
I got Kaprizov in that conversation. I think
so.
he hits 50.
In the conversation.
I also don't think
that's still just 4 though.
Yeah.
I have Matthews, Connor, Kaprizov, Draisaitl, and I'm going to go dark horse here. Dark horse on Matthew Tkachuk. 42 goals last year. Mm-hmm. He's playing with Barkov this year. Does he? But you know what Barkov did for pretty much anybody that's on his line?
Yes.
I'm just saying. It's tough. 50 is so tough. Dad did it. Keith Tkachuk did it. Why not Matt?
Into that conversation, I would throw Alex DeBrincat. And I would also throw Philip Forsberg, who had 42 in 69.
Wow.
Okay, so let's take up one last poll of the room. Dave, you're a no on the 5 goals. Steve, you're a no.
Well, I'm talking myself into yes, but I'll go with no.
No, are you a yes?
I'm a no.
You're a no. Jesse, are you a yes?
I'm a yes.
I am also a yes. I think it's going to happen. Goal scoring's been consistently going up. I think it's going to happen, and you can find it at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN.
And speaking of goal scoring, later on this week when I join you next, we're going to talk about a new Austin Matthews prop, but that's just a little tease for you. So we'll see you next time.
100 goals.
How did you know this? How did you know this?
sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Bastel and SIA Sport. Dave, thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Mental health in the sports world, mental health in all the world is thankfully taking center stage. People are looking after their mental health, and we think you should too. We all do. Therapy, no matter how you receive it, is extremely important, and it's great to see more athletes kind of speaking up about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what we want to do with BetterHelp, who has come on and has been a part of this the show, is we want to give you an opportunity to try it out. And BetterHelp's cool because it's convenient, it's accessible, it's affordable, and entirely online. You can meet face-to-face with somebody. If you're not comfortable with that, you can do a phone. If you're not comfortable with that, you can do it over text. It's however you want to receive it, and it's not the customary 2 or 3 month wait time sometimes it could be to get a therapist. You're usually matched within 48 hours. If you go to betterhelp.com/SDP, you can get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/SDP. You know what it's time for, guys?
Tool time.
Spicy cereal time.
Oh,
yeah. Who doesn't love cereal? The crunch, the sweetness, the way you can accidentally eat a whole box or as a snack at midnight.
See, when you said who doesn't love cereal and then you said the crunch, I thought there was a bad guy named the Crunch.
No, there is
who
not.
Doesn't like cereal.
No.
But that wouldn't make sense.
But you could pretend your cereal is a bad guy and then eat it. Like cocoa, fruity frosted flavors, peanut butter, blueberry muffin, maple waffle, honey nut, cookies and cream, cinnamon roll. These are all Magic Spoon cereal types that you can try. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 to 5 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's low carb, it's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, and only 140 calories per serving. Go to magicspoon.com with the promo code STP to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try Magic for yourself. And be sure to use that promo code. What's the promo code, Steve?
Dangle.
It's SDP. Nope. It's SDP at checkout to save $5 off your order.
There's different ones.
Magic Spoon is so confident in your product, it's backed by 100% happiness guarantee.
Ask
Steve,
him again.
So go to magicspoon.com to grab a custom bundle of cereal. Try the magic for yourself. Be sure to use our promo code
SDP for the bundle.
At checkout for $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident by their product that it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they're going to refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/SDP. And use the code
SDP
to save $5 off. Jordan Tortorella says he will not name a captain for the Philadelphia Flyers. By the way, the Philadelphia Flyers, we now know the players will not vote on it because Tortorella said, I'm not naming a captain, so that means it's his choice. And he has, quote, serious concerns about the Flyers dressing room. Let me read you these quotes. I have major concerns about the room. I've spent the summer going back and forth to Philly trying to relocate there, spent some time in the office talking to players, talking to personnel, talking to Chuck Fletcher, all the front office, and I have major concerns about what's going on there. Before we even take a step on the ice, situations and standards and accountability in the room is forefront. You can't get squat done on the ice until your room is straightened out, and I think we have a little bit of work to do there. I am in no rush to name a captain. Is John Tortorella the first person to speak about Philadelphia's situation honestly?
First of all, yes, and you can usually count on him to do that. Second of all, man, big Ron Wilson to the Leafs / Mike Babcock to the Leafs vibes. And this is a rescue mission. This is very Glengarry Glen Ross, this speech. I'm on a mission of mercy because, man, they're really bad. And he's already putting a target on his own back on purpose by saying, I'm the focal point here. This team is bad, and I'm in charge of making them not bad. And he's talking about the room and the problems, and I got concerns, and
we can't even think about leadership till I see something.
Yeah, there's the Montreal Canadiens who are, you know how you were like, everyone should be striving to make the playoffs? There should be 32. Mm-hmm. And the Montreal Canadiens are saying, we're trying. We're going to try to make the playoffs. We're contending for the playoffs. The Flyers, on the other hand, are like, we have major concerns about how shitty the shitty team is. And I mean, John Tortorella, I don't know if he's capable of telling a lie. I don't know.
I wonder how effective John Tortorella's tactics are in 2022. Because there was a story recently, NBC Sports did an interview with some of the members of the cup-winning team in Tampa. And there's a story in there about Vincent LeCavalier and how John Tortorella, in a room full of everybody, while they're watching film, he just tore right into him. And then that cup run, LeCavalier goes on to have one of his best playoffs ever. You know, they win and everything worked. And all the quotes from the guys are like, yeah, he really laid into him. And that was kind of what we all needed. We all got a laying into when we all saw him yell and scream at Vinny to get his shit together. And I believe he even fought Ginla and shit like that too along the way. Anyway,
LeCavalier, yeah, got beat up if I remember.
Got beat up,
but he fought,
and he wanted him to play tougher hockey and get his head in the game. But I wonder if Tortorella going in there using the same stuff he used back when with the Lightning and laying into these players and calling them out in front of guys. I don't know if that's the way to motivate players in 2022. I don't think this is going to be, I don't know, but I don't imagine John Tortorella is as an effective leader now as he was back then. And what we're expecting of him, I don't think that's how you get guys to play good hockey these days.
Well, it goes back to something we've talked about in the past. I don't know, did Bednar ever have to do that? Did Cooper ever have to do that? Did Berube ever have to do that? Did oh my God, who won with the Caps? He's now the coach of the Islanders.
Trotz.
Trotz and Trotz were screwing me up.
Me too.
Sorry. Anyway, and Mike Sullivan, and you never hear the stories about. He was just sort of a nice man. He encouraged us to be the best versions of ourselves, and then we were.
Is what the Flyers need is a guy laying into all the players. Is that what they need right now?
I think it seems like they got a discipline issue.
No, well, yes, they 100% have a discipline issue, and the Flyers. This is a D-building year. I think this is. I think what they're setting up is Tortorella is the doctor, and he's going in to diagnose, and he's gonna everyone who doesn't fit with the team, doesn't have a good attitude, doesn't get along, doesn't try their hardest, doesn't train their hardest. Like 32 Thoughts, Frege and Merrick keep talking about how the Flyers have told their players, you better come to camp in shape. What the fuck? Of course you should come to camp in shape. This is 2022. This isn't 1995. That's you have to. You got to come in ripped as shit. You got to come in shredded.
That's embarrassing.
Not everyone does, but does this not? This is a rescue mission, man. He's going in, and everyone who's not in shape, he's going to embarrass, and he's going to shove down the lineup, and he's going to
make him skate. That first practice is going to be skate.
Remember last year, the footage of the Canucks like collapsing and throwing up
Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yep.
Just dogging it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That video was a big deal.
That was him.
Guess what, Flyers? That's you.
That ended Jim Benning and Travis Green in Vancouver.
Yeah, eat light before Flyers practice in training camp. And like, here, can you bring up their cap friendly? Because the one good thing about the Flyers is they have parts.
Put on your glasses.
I'm putting on my glasses. They got some picks. That's good news. They don't have a second rounder for the next 2 years. That's bad news. James Van Riemsdyk, they weren't able to find a trade partner for, but at the trade deadline, if you retain, would you be able to? I think you'd be able to. Travis Sanheim, Justin Braun, and those are just the guys on expiring deals. That's not to say you can't trade guys with, oh man, they have a lot of term on that team.
They do.
Oh boy. So this is
why it's interesting that you say that this is a D-building year, because if that was the case, is the Flyers ownership group, is the family really going to allow Chuck Fletcher, he built this, to debuild this?
They went out and bought Tony DeAngelo
and spent a lot on him.
Oh, and Couturier and Ellis on the LTIR. Oh my God. Isn't Couturier coming back for the beginning of the season?
We don't know.
Oof.
I don't know if that's been confirmed yet.
Ellis should be ready.
And this is interesting on the cap friendly page. I noticed Felix Sandstrom is the Flyers' backup goalie now, because earlier in the summer it was Ivan Fedotov.
Yes.
He now has a 3-year contract supposedly with CSKA Moscow because the Russian government abducted him because they're awful and totalitarian regime.
One thing about the Flyers last year was that we also don't know what they are because of all the injuries. We know the guys who played weren't great, but they had such weird situations with all of the guys out and all the guys they acquired last offseason not playing.
But like, okay, remember when the Leafs got Kasha, and I hate to always make it about the Leafs, but you knew he was going to be good in the games he played, and you knew he wasn't always going to be there. Those are the two things you knew about him, right? And that's just the reality with some guys. Some guys need maintenance. Some guys...
Some bodies don't hold it the same way.
Yeah, and like with Kasha, he also got hit by accident by Matt Duchene, and you can't help that. So maybe it's not the perfect comparison, but like with certain guys in the Flyers... This is why I keep hammering I don't have sympathy for the Flyers. I have sympathy for Ryan Ellis, but I don't have sympathy for the Flyers for the fact that Ryan Ellis didn't play. That was always going to be a risk with Ryan Ellis. And is it the sort of thing where it's always going to be a risk with Sean Couturier going forward, who's a really good player?
Kevin Hayes played 48 games last year.
Sean Couturier, by the way, is addressing the media today, according to Sam Ciccardi, who writes for Philadelphia Hockey Now.
I think Kevin Hayes is a bounce back season.
And
there's a lot of tough.
We still don't know fully about Ryan Ellis as well. I'm just looking that up to make sure we were completely up to date.
Yeah, Couturier 29 games. Ellis was like 6, wasn't he? He barely played.
I think it was 4.
By the way, it's Sam Carchidi.
4 games, yeah.
Sam Carchidi. I got the name wrong. Yeah, anyway.
I thought he
4
retired.
games for Ellis, yeah.
I thought he did too.
Just so many injuries. So it'll be interesting to see them healthy, but...
Well, and one of the biggest storylines at the end of their season was how Ivan Provorov might be at the door.
I didn't understand that.
And now he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the potential for some big deals to get made. I don't see this roster staying together the way it is. They obviously see Tony DeAngelo as part of the future. Like does he not have the longest contract? He's got the longest contract on D.
No.
Oh no, that's
Ristolainen.
God, I'm blind. I'm so blind. No, it was only a 2-year deal for DeAngelo.
Provorov's 3. Yeah.
If it sounds like I'm grasping at straws, it's because I am, because this team isn't very good. And Tortorella, his specialty, and we saw this with the Blue Jackets, is squeezing blood from a stone. And at the end of the day, the most key component to all of this is Carter Hart.
Right.
He was able to get really good goaltending out of both guys in Columbus. And I shouldn't say that like he's the reason they're good. They have good goaltenders in Columbus. But Carter Hart showed us flashes and has not been good. Because the D in front of him has been so shit. And if anyone's going to fix that, Torts has to be the guy. So it really comes down to Torts and Hart.
Okay.
But Carter Hart really, he's riding that 2020 playoffs for 2 years now, because that 2020 playoffs when they went, what was it, 2 rounds? He was 926 through those
regular
14
season was
games.
good too.
And then
9-14 and
2021 and 27 games, he's an 877. 2022 last season, 45 games, a 905. That's not good enough.
905. You got to remember though, save percentage was down league wide last year. He had. I want to say it was like a month or 2 where he was unplayable, and then he was really good. And young goalies, Ron Hextall didn't want to rush him. The Flyers did, and Ron Hextall looked super wrong for a while, and now he looks super right. We need if the Flyers are going to be relevant, they need good goaltending out of Carter Hart. And when he's not in net, their backup is a guy like, what's your favorite Felix Sandstrom highlight?
Well, he made a nice toe save.
I was just looking at his name. I'm like, oh no.
He made a nice toe save against Grand Rapids.
You
shut up.
I was like, oh wow, Jesse remembers.
Look it up.
I believe he played in the NHL at least a cup of coffee last year. It's different tune in Philly than it is in Montreal.
The Flyers mess is going to be very interesting to watch, and we'll see if Torts can clean it up.
He was a 9-10 in 5 games. That's pretty good.
When he was with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, he made a nice toe save against Grand Rapids.
Hell yeah.
Show me that highlight. Show me that highlight.
If anybody at the AHL is listening, send in the highlight.
He's making that up.
Send it in.
Lastly, before we get to the press conference here, well, actually, no, not lastly. There's a few more things, but I thought you guys would find this interesting. And honestly, we missed it over the break. We can't miss this. I don't know if one would say that they were forced into retirement.
Oh.
You know, sometimes you choose retirement. Mm-hmm. Sometimes retirement chooses you, a la Jerome McGinley.
I'm going to beat you up.
Mike Babcock has officially retired from coaching.
Art.
He said on an interview in Saskatoon that he said, we always said we were going to retire at 60 and I'm 59. So that's basically what it is. I'm assuming that's him and his wife.
Yeah.
Elliott speculated that once his deal runs out with the with the Leafs, he could come back to the NHL.
Coaches retire like professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
He said, now, it's interesting you say that, because now if things change, I guess they change, but surely that's not the plan. Believe me, we've talked to people about lots of opportunities, enjoyed those conversations. In the end, we feel this is the best for us and best for our family and what we're doing. They're going to spend time skiing, hunting, and spending time with family. He said, for us, it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Is this protecting his future? Like, because he's not going to come out in the air and be like, nobody's called me. It's been bad.
See, I think it's the opposite. I think teams have called him.
I'm sure teams have called him.
And this could, I mean, There's a few options here. One is he's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Two is this is leverage. No one's given him a good enough offer, so I'm just going to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'll see you. Conor McGregor style. You know what? I don't like what I'm getting. I retire. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, he gets a deal he likes. You know what? I'm not retired. That's a great thing about retirement is you get to decide.
Right.
We'll see next offseason when a bunch of teams fire their head coach and they're like, you know what? Let's make a call to Mike Babcock.
There's only 40 guys in the world who can do this job. We better call one of them.
Literally.
We're almost out of guys.
We got to keep rotating the same cast.
Please.
It's like that game
Hire
where you
women.
put a ball under under one of 3 cups.
Yeah.
That's NHL head coaching.
Ken Hitchcock.
Yes.
Mike Keenan.
Man.
Just talk about coaches that are like recycle. Another player I wanted to take a look at, and somebody that I was interested to see what would happen this summer with them, and nothing's happened, is PK Subban. And the last update I could find on PK Subban was that it was a Rick Dollywall tweet. Love Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Love those guys.
Donnie and Dolly.
And the Canucks, and this is from September the 2nd, so this is 10 days ago. This is the last real update I could find. The Canucks have not shown any interest in UFA defenseman PK Subban this summer.
Here's the last update I've seen on PK Subban. He is now best friends with Ben Simmons.
Oh,
Have you followed his Instagram?
no, I haven't.
He's only.
Should I follow him? I should follow him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, because he just has a ridiculous life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, today he's on a yacht. Today he's at he was at the American Open with Ben Simmons. You were there.
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open, my bad.
Yeah. I was also there, not with them.
And he was like, I heard Jesse Blake's going to be here. Oh, my goodness.
I'm already following him. Subanator, right?
Yes.
So I'm not. Sometimes you follow people on Instagram, and then if you don't interact with their stuff enough, it just stops
away.
you from seeing them.
Yeah. Or you ever open up your Instagram and you're like, who the fuck is this? And it's because Instagram followed them for you.
Does that happen?
I don't know. Like sometimes maybe I scrolled and accidentally pressed something, or I'm like, I don't know who this person is. Anyway,
Does Subban play this year?
he might. I mean,
Does he
will he
play
be coworker PK Subban? I
in
don't
the
know.
NHL ever again?
Do we have space on the network?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, listen. I mean,
Game over Montreal, PK Subban?
I think he'd be a fantastic
Berkshire,
broadcaster.
get out!
He'd be a fantastic broadcaster, and Andrew would understand.
He already is. Like he had his podcast. You were on it.
I was.
He's already done it.
Me and Jerry Bruckheimer were on the same show.
And he might look at this as like, okay, next chapter of my life. I don't know.
He could.
I don't know what he's thinking.
He could. I don't know either. There's guys like Calvin DeHaan signing PTOs, and Sonny Milano still doesn't have a deal. Like a lot of teams are in a very strange spot. And if you're PK and you've already made a lot of money and you've had to battle a lot of injuries, there's what people on Twitter and what hockey teams are like, this is PK Subban's value. This is what he should get paid. But if you're PK, you're like, here's how much money it's going to cost for me to play hockey this year.
Mm-hmm.
I've already made a lot and my back hurts. So I need at least, what's his number? 3, 4? I don't know.
That's a very good point.
Or I could do broadcasting and I'll make less, but I also won't be traveling as much and crunched into the boards by dudes
Physically
who are
destroying my
huge.
body. Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
if it's an American broadcaster, not that much less.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good
Not
point.
that much less
Yeah.
at all.
PK Subban on TNT or ESPN, I could absolutely see it.
And I could see that being that deal being worth $1 million. Like Pierre Maguire is making like $1.2 million for NBC all those years.
So there's another thing that if it's going to happen, needs to happen kind of soon.
By the way, in Canada, if you're asking, no. The answer is they pay you a lot less. A lot less.
Is Adam Wild talking?
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, certain people do get paid very well here, no question. Um,
what a splash. Because remember last year, it was like just before the season, ESPN and TNT made a huge deal of, here's our new lineup. What a splash. Like right before game 1, something like October 8th, 9th, 10th. They're like, and joining us in
Wayne
studio
Gretzky.
is Wayne Gretzky and Rick Tocchet and Paul Bissonnette, et cetera, et cetera. This year they get to go PK Subban.
It's a good get.
It's a good get.
He could be working on it right now.
$2 million was out there for Evan Rodrigues, so could be out there for PK Subban. But is PK's personal price $2 million? Is $2 million worth it for him to play in the National Hockey League?
Why don't you ask him? You were on his show.
I'll message him on Instagram and see if I get left on red. My guess is it doesn't even get read.
I'd love to know what he's thinking right now and what he thinks about his career and how it's gone. Like, I'd love for an extended sit down. I'd devour that.
Do you
episode,
think that we?
You know?
I think what he's thinking right now is I'm enjoying my lunch with Ben Simmons because they're best friends.
Didn't know that. Didn't know they knew each other.
Me neither.
Small community.
And it's all I see. And you know what? I'm going to go see if he's with Ben Simmons right now.
Okay. Manscaped.
Oh, here it is.
Listen, it's been a while since we told you about.
How's he going to rhyme balls with balls today?
Listen, it's been a while since we told you about the Performance Package 4.0. It has everything you need to keep your sweet sack in check.
There's one.
Inside this package, you will find the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, because you got to watch out for your ears, okay? Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag in which to hold it all.
You know what? I have the 3.0 now that I'm thinking about it.
Do you
And
actually?
I think it's time for an upgrade of the 4. Gotta make a call.
I bet you're wondering how you could do that.
Oh!
Can you tell us?
If you want,
Tell us now.
If you want this, imagine this deal. You've never heard us say this before. 20% off and free shipping.
Damn.
Use that code DANGLE at manscaped.com. Again, it's 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE at manscaped.com. Jesse, you can keep things smooth and fresh.
Oh, that felt like such a cliffhanger.
I know.
thought you were gonna
Yeah, I thought there was more.
I didn't know what else to say.
nuts.
Manscaped.com.
There.
Use that promo code, and the promo code is
Dangle.
That's right.
Nutsack.
Thank you. Our next partner is pretty darn cool. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking for better gut health, more energy, stronger immune system, really easy, natural way to get all the Athletic Greens you need, well, you should check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning.
No.
It is. It does remind me of my grandfather just a little bit. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all the extra vitamin pills and make room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is the all-in-one solution that actually tastes good, and you'll actually enjoy getting your daily vitamins. Okay, this is lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it super easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/SDP. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/SDP to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate in daily nutritional insurance. Listen, it's the end of wedding season, but because wedding season's been put off and put off and put off, people are stacking weddings.
Wedding season doesn't end anymore.
It used to be just the summer, but it is not.
No.
You were a winter wedding.
I was. And then actually, I would recommend it. It's really nice. Nobody gets married in January, and it gives people something to do. And if you have a little bit too much to drink, Z-Biotics, your pre-alcohol probiotic, is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic.
Wow.
It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking, and here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for your rough next day. So Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break that byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it the most. Just remember, drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly. Get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. And here's the thing. If you want to give Z-Biotics a try, go to zbiotics.com/STP and get 15% off your first order when you use STP at checkout. Again, Z-Biotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will just refund your money, no questions asked.
It's a Z-Biotic.
Oh, sorry. In Canada, it's Z-Biotics. Want to bet?
Yeah.
You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Football is back. Baseball playoffs on the way, and hockey season around the corner. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of the many prop bets. It's made for Canadians.
Did you have the Steelers yesterday?
I honestly, I missed my picks yesterday. I'm embarrassed. I know, and I should have.
How could you?
Because I can't. I have this rule. I don't. Everybody has the rules. My rule is I don't bet against the teams I cheer for. I don't
Should
bet
have
against
for them. They won.
Exactly.
Terrible towel, more like terrible Adam.
Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/STPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/STPN. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. And I think that's sort of as hockey news as far as I wanted to go here, but I wanted to throw a couple things at you. I got an email from a listener. And the email...
Is it PK Subban?
The email subject line is yelling at you on the QEW.
Oh, yeah.
He sent it to Steve, and then he sent it to me, and he was yelling at me. And his name is Jonathan Rodrigues.
Yes.
And Jonathan, strangely enough, and if you've been here long enough, if you're an OG, you know about the Purelator trucks outside of our previous studio. But Jonathan was driving, I believe, a Purelator truck. Oh. And I was driving on the QEW with my car, and he screamed out the door, because they have those open doors, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, "Are you Adam Wild?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Mark Bergevin is underrated. I need you to know that." And I was like,
because you were talking about him last show.
Yeah, and I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well," and then he talked about the Subban deal and a few other deals. He's like yelling hockey takes at me on the QEW.
It's so weird that you were able to have this conversation at like 100 kilometers an hour.
Yes, we were.
How did you talk about four different things?
You were in bumper-to-bumper traffic.
Jonathan had opinions, and he wanted me to know. But I did want to say, he said that was me yelling at you on the QEW and it's Canada Post truck. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Sorry to bother you while you were driving, but I wanted to say, hey, that's awesome. He was listening to our show as he was talking to us, talking to me.
And then Adam called me.
Yeah.
And so he emailed me later to be like, "I'm so sorry for interrupting your call with Adam." And I'm like, no. He called me because you yelled at him.
Yes. Yes. And he said, "Best of luck to the SDPN the upcoming season, Jonathan Rodrigues." So I just thought that was cool, and he deserved a shout out. That was about an hour before my car blew up.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, so I want to do a little quick shout out to Grand Island, New York. And if you've never been to Buffalo, then you probably don't know what Grand Island is. But Buffalo is known as the city of good neighbors. And
is it?
It is. That's the moniker there. And so I
unless you're a Pats fan.
Unless you're a Pats fan.
Fuck you.
The city of get this table.
Catch these tables.
Catch these tables, jabroni.
Sorry. So I want you to know that I was in traffic with Jonathan, which is why we could yell at each other. And then I get down and I'm driving to there's a national or international vintage car rally at a racetrack called Watkins Glen in New York, upstate New York. And to get there, you have to kind of take like a V, right? You're going around the lake. So you go down to Niagara Falls and then you go over back to Watkins Glen, New York, right?
Driving to upstate New York sucks.
It's really hard and it's not that far away.
Yeah.
And so I was driving and so I'm guys, I love driving. One of my passions in life is driving.
Adam loves driving.
And so for bike people don't understand that, but I love driving. And I'm driving down the QEW. And I'm driving through Hamilton. I'm driving through Oakville. I'm driving towards Niagara Falls. Had a little bit of traffic, but nothing bad. And it's a sunny day and it's gorgeous. And I get to the border and I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to slow down and get boring. This is going to suck. So I pulled into duty free. I grabbed some vodka sodas because we were going to go camp at the campground and then watch the race cars, right? And I'm not a big beer drinker, so vodka sodas. Grab the vodka sodas.
No shame, you're 34.
Yeah. Went to the bathroom and then went into the line at the border and I went right through. I've never been to the border where there's not been a lineup. The guys were just sitting there. And so I handed the guy my passport and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to Watkins Glen, New York for a classic car rally." And he kind of looks out the window. He's like, "Okay, you vaccinated?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, have a nice day." So I'm like, holy shit.
Shout out the good guys at the CBS.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good people.
He was great. And obviously my car's 49 years old this year.
Wow.
So I'm driving down the I-90 in Buffalo and I get over the Grand Island Bridge and it's beautiful, guys. Stunning. It's green everywhere, beautiful views or whatever. And I drive down off of the bridge. And for any car people, you're going to know what I'm saying here, but I started to smell butterscotch. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe there's some sort of cookie plant in the area, honestly. Like in Toronto, we have the Peak Freens factory, and occasionally in East York at night, you could smell Peak Freens. You could smell the
There's also the Red Path Sugar Factory that smells like freshly baked bread.
Yes.
When you walk by.
Yes, 100%.
I used to walk by it on the way to Leafs TV.
So I'm thinking, oh, well, like Buffalo's, like Toronto, old industrial city. I'm sure there's some sort of packaging here. Driving along, and I press the accelerator down to get up to 60 miles an hour. Car doesn't do it.
Oh, no.
And I don't know, have you ever seen like Independence Day or whatever, when a plane gets hit by a missile?
Yeah.
And it just smokes out the back end?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was you?
It was literally like at that moment, like my car had been hit by a missile, and I'm talking plumes of smoke to the point where cars behind me were pulling out of the lane and driving around because they couldn't see. No. So I'm pulling it off the highway, and this car is at least it has power steering. So I'm pulling it off the highway.
I've lost that while driving. It sucks.
It sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find an exit, and I find one, and it's a long exit because again it's a bit more rural, and I'm pulling off, and the car just shuts off. So now I'm rolling in neutral because I put it into neutral and rolling with not power steering, trying to pull it over.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I have no idea what the problem is here because I'm not somebody that wrenches, right?
I'm a mechanic.
No. I'm like, shit. I'm like, this beautiful day. So I don't panic. Get out of the car. I unlock both sides of the hood and I open it up, and it's fucking hot in there. And when you hear that, it's doing that everywhere. And there's this brown fluid all over the inside of the car, like inside of the engine bay. I'm like, shit.
I don't even know what that is.
Well,
oil?
You're about to find out because the city of good neighbors, a gentleman stopped in within 3 minutes of me pulling over. And he said, seems like you need some help. And I said, I do. And he's like, I own a 69 Roadrunner. I know what this is all about. And I'm like, great. Can you tell me what this liquid is? So he stops. And then his friend, who is a mechanic, also stops.
Get out of here.
And they're both like, that's coolant. And his friend reaches down and he's like, yeah, you blew a rad line. So basically the coolant for the engine stopped feeding into the engine because the hose got old, because the car's old. And you have to remember, my car was redone 15 years ago. And that seems in the lifespan of a 50-year-old car, 15 years, like, oh, well, that's relatively recent. But most people do not own a 15-year-old car.
Yeah, it's more than the lifespan of most cars.
Most cars.
My land yacht, the 1995 Ford Taurus station wagon.
Sexy.
It was done when it was 15.
There you go.
Done, literally, the power steering died in the middle of a left-hand turn. Awful. Terrifying.
Terrifying.
And that was it.
So, anyway, they know a guy, his name's Marty, owns Marty's Towing. And Marty also has a garage. And Marty works on Mustangs. I'm like, and they're like, listen, all it seems that you're going to need is a new rad hose, and you're going to be good. So they put me up on a flatbed. This guy comes, nicest people you've ever met in your life. I swear to God, these people are amazing. And then they bring me to the garage. They offload the car. They bring it right in. They're like, we've got a couple hours before we wrap up shop, so it'll be fine. No problem. I hear them trying to turn over the car in there. It's not working. They're like, is the battery dead? They lift it up on a hoist. They find out that I've blown a head gasket. And essentially what that means is it got so hot that part of the engine blew up. And when you do one head gasket, you have to do both sides. So the guy comes in and you could see the look on his face. It's like, this isn't going to be pretty. And he sits down and he's like, listen, you've blown a head gasket. I'm like, okay. And then he tells me how much. I'm like, oh, okay. And then he's like, do you have anywhere to stay tonight? And I said, well, how long do you think it'll take? And he's like, 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Is your car in Buffalo right now?
My car is currently sitting at Marty's in Buffalo right now.
No.
You can go see it. It's a tourist attraction. And so
you got to go back to Buffalo.
Well, yeah.
Oh no.
So I'm like
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Fuck. So then I called my dad, and he's at the racetrack already, and he's 3 hours away. Oh! And I'm like, I am not making my father drive 3 hours here and 3 hours back to come get me. I just it's within an hour 45 of home. So my girlfriend Natalie's brother-in-law, Dara, came and got me. But they dropped me at a restaurant that was superhero themed, and it was called Say Cheese. And they dropped me there, and it's a pub. And I walk in, and I hear, "Hey, it's that Canadian guy." And it was the guy and the mechanic that had rescued me on the side of the highway. They were having a beer. Yeah. So anyway, they were chirping me a little bit, but yeah, I sat in that bar for about 4 or 5 hours and had a piece of pizza and had a couple Miller Lights, as one does, and waited for Dara to come get me. And I'm gonna have to go back. And I'm just trying to figure out with my insurance company, am I gonna have it towed back across the border and brought to my mechanic, which is probably going to be the case because they're not going to want it done in Canada. But yeah, but here's but I have to say,
that's brutal.
The highlight of it, I wasn't that bothered by it because old cars, you expect shit to go wrong, right? Not like that, maybe. But what made it so much better was how nice everybody was about it.
It's a nice experience.
Like if I had pulled over in Oakville, no one's stopping to help. If I pulled over in Ontario, no one's stopping to help.
I don't think so. Nice people of Oakville.
No, I think Oakville people got shit to do. They're moving on. They're like, no, sorry, get out of the way. These guys stopped, helped. They were on their way to just have a nice night at the bar. And they stopped over and they helped me. So I just wanted to shout out, if you are from Grand Island or nearby, and there were several podcast listeners who saw my Instagram stories who are like, hey, I live 10 miles away. If you need a hand, let me know.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of messages on Instagram. So if you message me, thank you very much for that. But yeah, that's the joys of old cars. And so now I'm going to bring it back to Canada probably. I'm going to bring it to my guy in Oshawa.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look at, I'm like, every hose. Replace every hose, every piece of rubber in that car.
You don't have to say into the microphone how much it was, but can you do this and mouth what it was? Oh!
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Canadian.
Oh, okay. That's it's pretty bad.
It's not great.
It's pretty bad.
That tow is going to be expensive.
Well, apparently
it's going to be more than
the insurance.
My insurance company covers it. Okay. I think 80 or 90 kilometers. So it's not bad.
It's not,
but great. It's way further than 80 or 90.
It's about double that.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm not telling you a story because I felt like I came out of it great.
You should rent your own. Can you rent your own tow truck and go get it?
I don't know if that you can. That's fun. A good question. That's a very good question.
Or like a flatbed.
It's going to break down too.
Yeah.
I think that should be the next goal.
Oh man,
how much is
rent your own tow truck?
But it's more.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, I thought the highlight was that how nice everybody was, and I thought it was worth shouting it out. So I can't wait to get down to. Everybody was talking about the when they found out what I did, because they always ask. They're like, well, you got to get down for a Sabres game. Got to get down for a Sabres game. It's great. Got to get down. I'm like, you know what? I will. So I'm going down for a Sabres game this year. You guys coming?
I get embarrassed.
Why?
Because I feel like YouTubers do not have a very good reputation. And
earned.
And I don't like saying that's what I do.
Right. I just say
I think it makes me sound like a
Did
psychopath.
Jake Paul ruin that for you?
I think it was ruined long before him. Okay. And he just kept digging.
Do you ever look up old YouTubers that used to be popular and go, what happened to those people?
They made their money.
Like Ray, what was that? Ray William Johnson? That guy used to be huge.
He's still going.
He is? Okay.
Yeah, he's still going.
There was a guy who was like a content aggregator. Like I think his name was SoFlo Antonio. What happened to that guy? He would basically take your video and be like, you're not going to believe this. And then he would repost just the video. And he just had a bunch of viral videos and people would be like,
Philip DeFranco has like rebranded himself into more of like a news guy.
What did he used to do? Because I only know him as the
funny
news guy.
shit.
Yeah, just funny shit.
Yeah, just like random vlogs.
Look at clips and be like, look at this stupid fucking story. But now it's like he's like tries to be legitimate news.
Mm-hmm.
Is he doing well?
He's rich.
Okay, well,
and owns a growing company.
Yeah, good for him.
I find a lot of YouTubers, once they make it, quote unquote, they're like, okay, I'm done YouTube, and they try and advance to something else.
Remember, the biggest YouTube channel in the world used to be Smosh. When was the last time someone was like, hey, have you seen the Smosh video?
I don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Kev Jumba was like one of the biggest YouTubers.
Kev Jumba, I do know Kev Jumba, yeah.
And he just sort of stopped, I think.
Jenna Marbles.
Jenna Marbles just sort of stopped.
She said, I had enough.
I remember the big thing with her recently is someone took a picture with her.
Yes.
And it was like the first Jenna Marbles sighting in like months. Like she's in like an albino badger or something, like a rare albino badger that no one's ever. There's 1 in 4 million badgers of the albino badger or something like that.
Philip DeFranco videos still on average here do about 120,000 per. Oh no, 2 days ago 250,000. Yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and it's like an artist who has a one-hit wonder too, or just a good back catalog in that you can just leave it and you're good for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few. Jesse and I used to do a show called YouTube Hits. And there's a few people that we talked to that actually became like big stars, like the Smith Plays. Remember that guy?
Mm-hmm.
He's like out of Nova Scotia. He just played Call of Duty Zombies. That's all this guy did.
Yeah,
and he was the
enormously famous,
nicest dude, enormously famous and enormously rich now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when we talked to him, he had like a couple hundred subscribers or something.
Yeah, he was in like the thousands, but it was like 2,000.
Yeah.
And like every once in a while, I'll DM him, and he always gets back to me. And it's like, I'm like, hey man, like, I asked him about like a video game controller for a specific type of playing, and he's like, yeah, I wouldn't use the keyboard for that. I'm like, you don't have to make time for me. This is hilarious. And then another guy who's the guy that did the top 10s thing, and he was really known he was the bald guy who was known for doing top 10s and top 5s.
No.
Matthew Santoro.
Oh,
he
okay.
quit YouTube completely, and now he just Twitch streams.
Oh, nice. Change platform.
Yeah. I think you got tired of doing top 10 videos.
There's not. It's difficult to be crossover successful on both.
Yes.
Like if I'm not mistaken, Jake Paul or Logan Paul was like, yeah, I'm going to Twitch. And people were like, fuck this. You're not very good at this. And he was like, okay, fine. And so then he fought Floyd Mayweather despite never winning a boxing match.
Which one's
and probably made millions of dollars.
Which one's fighting Anderson Silva?
Jake Paul. And
Jake?
I think he might finally get fucked up because
Nope.
No, they've got an agreement in place.
Every time
They've got an agreement in place. It's the formula. Might he get fucked up?
Right.
Oh, no.
That's
Wink, wink. We're all going to make a lot of money.
You're falling for it again.
Stop it.
you're right, I am.
It's like every YouTube prank. It's like, can you guys believe they actually pulled this off in public? No, because they didn't. Stop watching.
There's this Tony something who I follow on TikTok, and it's just like all 2010s YouTube prank videos, and it's like, hey, we're gonna go bother some black people. Come with us.
Oh,
that was every.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it absolutely was.
We're gonna go bother these definitely not paid actors.
Yeah.
And
it's sorry, go ahead.
No, there was also ones with like girls on. They were we're gonna go to the beach.
We're gonna go assault women.
Yeah,
it's what it was.
There's fucking awful.
And the new one is I'm gonna take this tiny little bud microphone and I'm gonna ask strangers skill testing questions that they're gonna get wrong, and you're gonna be like, I can't believe this person got the skill testing question wrong, and they're definitely real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing is that we went to a YouTube. Jesse and I actually went to like a YouTube Toronto thing where all the creators got together.
I did in 2008.
Okay, so we did it in 15. I want to say we're with Blake, and we went and like Blake Carter, and we went and interviewed them. Yeah. But I remember they were talking about like those prank videos, and like 99% of them were fake.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The one I went to in 2008, by the way, I met Philip DeFranco and Kev Jumba.
That era was also ASAP Science. Remember those guys?
Man, they're
from Toronto, but they stopped YouTube for like, I don't know, 5 years or something because they didn't need to do it anymore, and they got like mainstream big.
Oh,
and then I think they came back with like a couple of videos,
and they're on TikTok now.
Are they on? That's what they're doing.
I see them come up. They're really nice guys. Interviewed them once. They were really nice.
The other reason I'm sort of embarrassed about saying YouTuber is here's meeting someone who finds out I'm a YouTuber so and so over. Oh, that's really cool. What are your videos? Here's meeting someone after a couple beers. Oh, that's really cool. So like, what's your day like? Like, how much work do you do? Here's meeting someone drunk. How much money you make? How much money you make?
Drunk or children? Which is the same thing.
Oh, both.
Children are always how much money do you make?
Yeah. Yeah, no, kids just...
Kids don't have... They
don't have the filter that gets taken down by alcohol. They just... Straight to the chase. It's how much money you make.
Do you remember that story, Adam, you told me about Everly, when she said that was a big woman?
What did I say?
You told me a story about Everly once saying a woman was rather large on the street.
Oh, yeah. Kids don't have, like... We walked by an extremely tall person, and Everly points out tall people. My uncle Rob is tall. Natalie's father, Rob, is tall. Jesse is tall. And when I don't know what it is, but she looks up at you and goes, "Wow." So and this is like, so we're walking down the
Kids
street.
will just stop.
Yeah. They're like, that is the tallest person I've ever seen. And they say it out loud. So we were walking down the street, extreme, like, again, a very tall person, but you know, in your adult brain, you're like, oh, there's a tall person anyway. But kids are like, are you seeing this? They were like, and so Everly was like, that was a tall woman on our street in front of our house. And I was like, or no, that was a big woman, because she doesn't say tall yet. That was a big woman, Daddy.
No.
And I was like, Everly, shh. And she was like, what? And then she like, and then, because when you do that, because they're so sensitive and so sweet, like precious children at this age, they think that they're really in trouble. And she started to cry. And I was like, and she did the, you know, they do the little, the lip thing. And you're like, oh my, and you just want to die. You want to hurt yourself because you hurt them.
Leo doesn't do the lip. His face expands.
Oh,
and I'm like, no. He got like a whole coffee shop to laugh the other day.
What do you do?
He's very rarely ever been in one. And I told him, I'm like, we're going to get a chocolate chip cookie. Oh. And so he was like,
what a day.
Why are you still talking to me? Get my fucking shoes on. And like, so we do that. We go down. And he literally we get in the door and he runs up to the glass display and just goes, oh! Because I go, which one do you want? That one, and that one, and that one, and that. I go, you get one. And that used to be crying, but now it's, all right, I know he's not bluffing. I know I only get one.
My mom was here, I would definitely get two.
But he's smart now, because he said chocolate chip cookie. I go, okay. And then he goes, then peanut butter cookie. So I go, so next time we come here, he goes, peanut butter cookie. And now every time the coffee shop gets brought up, he goes, peanut butter cookie. He doesn't forget anything.
No, they don't at this age.
What's the biggest lie you guys have ever told your kids? Because you could just be like, oh, the coffee shop left. You know, we can't get any more cookies.
So
you could just say that shit.
This is the debate I have with my wife. I'm like, stop lying to our son, because she'll just be like, it's broken.
Yeah.
Oh,
they don't know.
Smart. My mom
doesn't work. No.
I was like, I finally, okay, so during the pandemic, the theme song of my pandemic was anything that the Wiggles sing. And not just Fruit Salad, which is, by the way, a fucking bop. That's a great song.
I'm out of Wiggles jail, and I never want to hear them again.
Yeah, but like Wake Up Lockie, Do the Propeller, you know what I'm talking about, right? All those songs. What my mom said was the Wiggles are on vacation this week. So the entire week, she doesn't ask. And I was like, oh my God, you're a genius.
That's a good lie.
That's so good.
Yes. So when I pick
I think Blippi's about to take a vacation.
Yeah, Blippi's going. Yeah, Coco Melon on vacation. Goodbye.
Oh, Coco.
He needs a
you know
week
what?
off.
Coco Melon's going on vacation.
Yeah. Coco Melon's not coming back. Coco Melon went to the farm. Okay. All right.
Coco Melon went to the Charizard
farm. All right. But yeah, so those are the lies. You do those because of Jesse. I'm not proud of it, but it is survival. It is survival.
I find it so funny when parents do it.
Oh my God.
You have to.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Who do you think, by the way, because you're the disciplinarian, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I know between my mom, my ex, and myself, I'm pretty sure I'm the disciplinarian most of the time.
I get it.
Jesse, if you ever had kids with your partner Gabby, who would be the disciplinarian, you or Gabby?
Probably me.
Probably you.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. I think she would let the kid get away with.
Now I know you're hard on us,
all right,
but I don't think you with children and pets. You're different.
I think I'd be more fun. Maybe, I don't know.
Gabby's a riot, though. I don't know. She's a good time. I just find it because here's the thing:
see.
When you see Jesse on this show, he's known for the key word, which is no. But when Jesse walks in this house, I want you to know this: I have 2 dogs that I have had for years, and my girlfriend Natalie has a cat, and his name's Teddy, and he's a big white ragdoll cat. And Teddy's very personable, and as far as cats goes, he's a little bit more like a dog. But when he hears Jesse come in, like he doesn't give a shit. When
Teddy's my best friend.
Teddy comes down, and Jesse, the first time Jesse pet Teddy, cat owners are like, well, he likes this and he doesn't like that. He's going to bite. Jesse just took his big Jesse hands and went, up and down Teddy's back.
He went
cats,
up and down him like he was trying to dry him off.
you're not supposed to pet cats upwards against their fur. They're supposed to hate it.
Yeah, he likes it.
You pet him like a dog.
Yeah. This cat.
Look.
You're not
I've
supposed to do that.
I've never seen a cat purr
never owned a
louder.
cat.
Me neither. But I know you're not supposed to do that.
Jesse can pick the cat up, can flip it on its back, can play with it and make it do like musicals and stuff, like anything it wants. It's like whatever you need, Jesse.
Teddy
just pet
likes me until you show up.
Your story about your listener reminded me of something that happened 2 weekends ago when I hit a listener with a golf ball.
Sorry?
I forgot.
What?
I forgot it.
Okay. We're saving our press conference for tomorrow. We're doing another show.
I got a bunch
know
of
there's
Twitter
questions.
Or should we save that for tomorrow?
If you want to,
No, we gotta do it now.
It'll be
Now.
quick. It'll be quick. If you want to send in a question for the press conference, join us on Discord, discord.gg/SDPN, or just reply to my tweet where I tweeted for press conference questions. Anyways, quick story. This summer, I've done a shit ton of golfing. It's like my number one activity all summer. I've gotten pretty decent.
Good for you.
So
What a surprise.
And I've
Athletic guy gets good at athletic thing.
like there was one week when we were off at the end of August in between Greece and New York where I went to driving range like 5 times that week and I played like 2 18s. It was unbelievable.
My hands were bleeding.
One of the best
Ridiculous flex. Between Greece and New York, I golfed. Jesus.
So
what a life.
Not this past Sunday, but Sunday before, I think it was. I'm playing with my family. We're on like the 3rd hole or something, and we're going up to the green, and somebody's coming up the other way because of the 2 holes. They kind of intertwine. There's one cart path, so we're driving, and I'm driving the cart, and then somebody drives by, and he's wearing like a Blue Jays cap, and he says, "Oh, Jesse Blake!" And since we're both driving by, I just said, "Hey!" And then we keep going our way. That was like the 3rd hole. We get to like the 16th or something. It's a par 4. I hit my tee shot and it just flies. I hit a bomb. It starts heading towards the green, and I look up towards the green, and the group ahead is still there. And I don't yell four in time because I'm just watching the ball, and it lands like right in front of the green, and it rolls up there. I'm like, oh my god, I really hope it didn't hit anybody. And then so I'm like waving my club just so they can see, and then I see the group look back. I'm like, oh, I swear, I hope we go up there and the ball's like in front of the green. It didn't get to them. So then we drive up, and then I go look, and the ball is like a couple feet past the hole.
Embedded in the guy's head.
So I hope it didn't hit anybody, but there's 4 people, including one of the listeners who would recognize me in that group ahead, and they're standing on. And this is like one of the worst golf etiquette things you can do is hit into the green when somebody's there.
You're a dick.
So the ball's like a couple of feet from the hole. And then, best part of the story, I make the putt and then my first eagle ever.
Whoa!
So, yeah, I got an eagle on that par 4, and it was because I hit a listener with the ball. Hopefully, I don't think it hit anybody because it would have rolled up there, but I don't know. I hit right into a listener. I feel really bad. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. I never got a chance to apologize and see you later on the course. But
Do you wear funny golf outfits?
No. I just wear a polo. I wear a Dewar polo.
Dewar.
I love this brand, Dewar. You can use the code SDPN15 for 15% off your order at Dewar.ca.
They have to buy under the SDP for stuff like that.
But they make terrific polos. Just wear one of those, or wear one of my red golf shirts when I want to act like Tiger.
And the SDPN like pullover is actually really.
And then I got my SDPN
rain jacket.
We have an SDPN polo too.
We need SCP golf gloves.
We
golf
do.
gloves.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Next
golf
summer.
hat.
Absolutely.
We have a golf hat and we have a golf polo on our site. You can go shop that. SDPNshop.ca.
That's right. And
I'm just doing promos
okay,
now.
yeah. Noted Alan Walsh client T-shirts. Let us know when. I want to know. I am a noted Alan Walsh client. That has to be.
I need it.
Okay, so that will wrap the show right there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. As always, we will be back tomorrow because Steve has to go to Henderson. Steve's got to go to Henderson.
I'm going to Vegas first,
But
that's
Henderson
where the airport is.
the ultimate destination. That's where everybody wants to go when they go to Nevada.
You know what? It is. That's the wrong button.
He's gonna put the extra
idiot.
in later.
I'm just gonna let the intro play out.
Okay.
So because I can't when you hit the button again, it's just gonna play again.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm just looking at the store.
all right, let's wrap it up.
this is the
I
golf
need to
ball.
buy
Isn't
some stuff.
that nice?
It's good.
All right, we'll see you.
No.
Steve
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection.